Tonight, CBS News takes you on the streets to the war zone for an unusual 2 hours of hands-on horror. Our focus is on crack, a kind of cocaine, a powerful mind bender and increasingly popular and deadly.
Just to give you an idea of the scope of the problem, several hospitals in New York City anonymously tested the urine of newborn babies and found that between 10 and 20% of them tested positive for illegal drugs, mostly crack.
During the 1980s and early 1990s, major cities in America began spiraling out of control as crack cocaine began taking hold of its citizens. This resulted in a surge of drug-related crimes that primarily impacted low-income neighborhoods. The various crimes being exhibited openly in the streets of New York is what served as primary inspiration to scriptwriter Andrew Kevin Walker. You see, Walker had moved to New York City in 1986 to follow his dreams of breaking into the film industry. He began working at Tower Records and was witness to the epidemic during his commutes. His sentiments on New York at the time were echoed by his Tracy character, and his experience of the city served as motivation to the John Doe character. In regards to the 7 Deadly Sins portion, he tells Uproxx, "So the idea, 7 Deadly Sin murders, was a reaction to living in New York and putting myself in a John Doe headspace where you could walk down the street and see every deadly sin on every street corner. What if someone was so highly and oversensitively attuned to these injustices?" That's where the idea of the 7 Deadly Sins came from.
Searching this morning for a woman who swapped her infant son for $20 worth of crack cocaine. The 4-month-old boy was turned over to social workers after being left in a bar while his mother smoked crack outside. The crack dealer admits that the baby was part of the transaction.
After a lot of hard work, his finished script was sold in 1991, which funded his relocation out west towards Hollywood. For the next couple of years, the studio was shopping the script around trying to get a director attached. One of these directors was Jeremiah Chechik, who, along with the studio, really disliked the box ending. No spoilers, but Walker was asked to rewrite the ending multiple times, and a total of 13 different endings were written and storyboarded. By 1994, the script was sold to New Line, and Chechik dropped out. New Line went looking for a director when David Fincher was sent the script to see if he would be interested. He was enthusiastic about the script, especially the nail-biting third act, which captivated Fincher the more and more he read. "We sent you the wrong script," his agent told him. "We're not doing that version anymore, and we'll send you the updated script that has a different ending." I assume that conversation went like that. Fincher knew the draft he had was superior and outright did not entertain changing the ending. He, along with Brad Pitt and Morgan and New Line CEO Mike DeLuca, fought to save the ending. And they are the reason that the ending was maintained and is the ending in the movie, Andrew Walker mentions. The studio buckled, and so David Fincher, along with Andrew Walker and the rest of the cast, moved forward in creating one of the greatest crime thriller movies of all time.
It's so evident, so apparent.
The choices made by them proved to be a huge success. 7 was subsequently released in theaters in September 22nd, 1995, and it debuted #1 ahead of Showgirls and To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. In its opening weekend, it brought in $14 million. By the end of its theatrical run, it had brought in $100 million domestic, $227 million internationally, for a complete total of $327 million. All this on a budget of $33 million. The movie runs at 127 minutes and is rated R for grisly afterviews of horrific and bizarre killings and for strong language. Additionally, the movie itself falls under the crime, drama, mystery, and thriller genres. 7 was received very favorably. Currently, it has 8.6 out of 10 on IMDb, Metacritic 65 out of 100, and Rotten Tomatoes has it with 83% critics and an outstanding 95% by the audience. The movie itself is listed amongst Rotten Tomatoes' 300 essential movies to watch now, and on IMDb, it is rated in its top 250 movies of all time, coming in at number 19 as of the time of recording. Siskel and Ebert both thoroughly enjoyed 7.
I wasn't standing around guarding the Taco Bell.
This is a very good movie that is sometimes hard to watch because of a level of violence and depravity that is unusual even among crime films.
I do think it's worth seeing. I think it may be needlessly grotesque, and I mean that as a compliment. I think he could have done it another way. Still, I do recommend it. 2 thumbs up for David Fincher's stylish serial killer thriller, 7, with Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt turning in 2 exceptional performances. A split vote on the Irish coming.
7 was nominated for an Oscar at the 1996 Academy Awards in the film editing category. Unfortunately, it lost to Apollo 13.
This year, the nominees for film editing are:
for Apollo 13,
for Babe, Braveheart,
Crimson Tide for 7.
And the Oscar goes to Mike Hill and Dan Hanley for Apollo 13.
A number of ideas were brainstormed by the studio for a potential sequel. However, nobody involved from the original felt it necessary, and that idea was scrapped. One of the scripts was rewritten and made into a standalone film titled Solace. Brad Pitt was born on December 18, 1963 in Shawnee, Oklahoma. Pitt takes on the role of Detective Mills, a newly transferred detective that is paired with Somerset in order to solve the Deadly Sin murders. Prior to 7, he was in Interview with a Vampire and in Legends of the Fall, both of which released in 1994. After 7, he went on to be in 12 Monkeys in 95 and Sleepers in 96. Morgan Freeman was born on June 1st, 1937 in Memphis, Tennessee. Freeman takes on the role of Detective Somerset, who is a week away from retirement and is loosely training Detective Mills. Before the release of 7, Morgan starred in the cinematic masterpiece The Shawshank Redemption in 1994 and Outbreak in 1995.
7.
After 7, he went on to star in Maul, Flanders, and A Chain Reaction, both released in 96. Director David Fincher was born on August 28, 1962 in Denver, Colorado. Fincher's Hollywood careers prior to 7 primarily consisted of music videos starting from the second half of the 80s, with Alien 3 being his feature film. After release, 7 was followed up by The Game in 97 and pairs up with Brad Pitt once again for the heavy hitter Fight Club in 99. The movie also has a couple of familiar faces, which include Gwyneth Paltrow playing as Tracy Mills and R. Lee Ermey playing as the police captain. Scriptwriter Andrew Kevin Walker has a cameo as a dead man in the crime scene that opens up the film.
Here we go.
What's the latest?
You know, Frank, same old shit. Almost got killed last weekend.
Here?
No, State Fair down in Virginia.
The movie opens up with Morgan Freeman's character getting ready for the day, and it immediately cuts into a crime scene. As he's looking around, Brad Pitt's character runs in and introduces himself. In the bit of dialogue, we find out that Detective Somerset is 7 days away from retirement, and Detective Mills recently got transferred into the city. The credits begin to roll in, and a sense of uneasiness and dread begins to set in. The following morning, after following Mills' morning routine, we meet with Somerset and another officer outside a crime scene. The death revolves around a large man whose head is buried in a bowl of food. The death itself is unclear yet mysterious as they gather clues. Back at the morgue, the coroner lays out his findings, and it is determined to be a homicide. The killer had forced the victim to continually eat for hours until he burst. The following day, we jump straight into a second crime scene. This time, the murder took place in a defense attorney's office in which greed was written in blood. The captain interrupts Somerset as he's typing in his office and lets him know that autopsy confirms that plastic was fed into the obese man. This piques Somerset's interest, and he takes a second look at the crime scene. Here, he finds a match of the plastic in front of the fridge. He moves the fridge and discovers 2 big clues. One is a note quoting Paradise Lost, and the other is the word gluttony written in grease. Back in the station, Somerset fills in the police captain and Mills in his suspicion that a pattern is beginning in which they're following the 7 deadly sins. That night, Somerset and Mills start researching the linked cases as well as relevant literature. The following morning, Mills takes possession of the office where the phone begins to ring almost immediately. The caller turns out to be Tracy, who invites Somerset over for dinner. Later that evening at dinner, the three of them begin to know each other a little bit better. After dinner, both detectives go through the attorney's evidence photographs once again. They determine that the wife is a clue and decide to visit her. She tells them that the painting is hung upside down and the office is once again investigated. As they look around the painting, a set of fingerprints were found on the wall that spell out, "Help me." Using available forensics, they start cross-matching the fingerprints to others that are saved on file. As they wait for the results, they end up falling asleep on each other. They're awoken by the captain informing them that the prints got a match to a career criminal and all-around vile human being and start loading up to arrest him. Our protagonists are doubting that he's the individual behind the first two murders. On location, SWAT and the police raid the apartment only to find the rotting body of the suspect laying in bed with the word "sloth" written on the wall behind him. That night, Tracy dials Somerset and asks if they can meet in the morning, and Somerset agrees. The following day in the diner, Tracy airs out her feelings regarding her hate of the city and reveals that she's pregnant and doesn't want to have the baby in the city. At the station, our protagonists are stumped as to what the clues mean, and Somerset decides to get outside help. We secretly meet up with an individual from the FBI, and with a bit of cash as motivation, he provides us the names of people who have checked out specific books from the library that revolve around the 7 deadly sins. Using the list, we narrow it down to a person named John Doe and immediately head out to the address provided. At the front door, we're suddenly attacked by a mysterious man and a foot chase ensues. The chase ends in an alley where Mills is ambushed, yet kept alive by the suspect. With the suspect gone, both detectives return to the apartment and break in. Inside, they find various items linking this John Doe to the previous murders, as well as clues to the next victims. Additionally, a photograph of Mills was found, meaning that a reporter that they had ran into in the sloth scene was our suspect in disguise. They follow one of the apartment leads into a bondage shop where the clerk tells them that they had fulfilled a custom order request to a John Doe. Mid-questioning, Somerset receives a notification that a fourth victim had been found. They arrive to a club with an underground brothel to find the lust victim brutally murdered by a male victim. The chaos in the room is smash cut onto an interrogation in progress where we learn that this John Doe forced the male to kill the female with a bladed strap-on. The next morning, the fifth victim is reported by John Doe over the phone, and it turns out it is the victim of pride. He disfigured her face and forced her to choose between living life disfigured or ending it, and she chose to end it. We, the audience, don't linger in this scene, as visiting crime scenes has become routine at this point. We catch up with Somerset and Mills as they are returning to the station. Suddenly, without warning, John Doe arrives at the station and gives himself up to both detectives. There is great confusion amongst all the officers as they don't understand why he gave himself up so easily. After debating what to do next, they decide to go with the demands laid out by the lawyer. The two detectives escort John Doe to the middle of nowhere per his request. During the car ride, the trio engage in tense dialogue regarding the motive. At the destination, John begins provoking Mills with fiery small talk when a delivery van approaches. Somerset intercepts the van, unveiling Tracy's head in a delivery box, and he rushes to Mills. In that moment, John confesses that his sin is envy, and he envies Mills's seemingly perfect life. John adds fuel to the fire by disclosing that he killed Tracy that morning. Overcome by wrath, Mills executes John, finally completing the 7 deadly sins murders. The final frames show Mills taken into police custody.